Hi, I'm Gabriel Dharmoo. I'm a composer, I'm a vocalist, composer, performer, improviser, and one question that was raised this morning kind of encouraged me to start just the talk in a way. So when Elke mentioned what the things we can't achieve with our medium, which in my case is new music, and talk about political kind of engagement, and that and dealing with themes that have to do with ethics and also humor and the role of laughter in performance and engagement with the audience are all things that I've always been very interested in. And today I'm going to talk a bit about the research I do through my art, but I'm going to focus a bit on the aspect of humor and also of ethics. So I think I wanted to put that in the forefront because it's really one of the motivations in doing what I do. So the broader context of my research is to kind of identify what are strategies that a composer performer working with voice can do and to kind of challenge the inherited aesthetics, the mindset, the training, the structures of Western classical music or Western new music. Especially when you feel your positionality doesn't really align entirely. It does in some contexts, but not entirely with these things that are sort of inherited and perpetuated. So I try to describe strategies that can constitute ethical and socially relevant way of singing, because I'm a vocalist, but I'm someone that uses their voice in different ways. So as a singer-improviser, but also as a composer working with other singers. I work with something that some of you might know as extended voice, or sound poetry, or more aptly, I quite like Paul Denton's word sound singing. A fellow improviser, some of you know Chris Tinelli, who's also a vocal improviser himself. He describes sound singing as, quote, one name for the practice of making music using an idiosyncratic palette of vocal and non-vocal oral techniques. So that means that I use my voice in the ways that are sometimes raw, visceral, noise-like, but also can touch on aspects of virtuosity, of an elaborate type of language, and trying to channel everything that's between a very instinctive way of using your voice and your body, and also the things that are closer to a composer approach of cerebral kind of music analysis. So this versatility of vocal techniques is a reflection of many things. One of it is my mixed cultural identity, because I always try to counter cultural homogeneity and the standardization of vocal technique through the prevalence of Western training in new music. So I attempt to flirt with something that's a bit more complicated and sometimes leads to these questions that are very on trend of the passage maybe towards a decolonized artistic practice. So I'm going to talk about one project called Anthropologies, imaginaires. Some of you, I know have seen it, so I'll just go. So yeah, Anthropologies imaginaire is a vocal solo. It's framed as a theatrical performance. It interacts with a video mockumentary, so a fake documentary. The music content is based on imaginary folklore, and the theatrical narrative is a parody of early colonial anthropology and ethnomusicological discourse. So over the course of about 41 minutes, the audience is presented with 11 invented populations whose use of the human voice is through their musical expression or through ritualistic sort of manifestations, that the use of their voice is perceived as either strange or peculiar. So as the solo singer performing live on stage, I embody a panoply of others, quote, through voice and movement. Behind me is a video projection that features interview footage with 5 individuals who comment on these vocal traditions. So I say 5 individuals, but people will assume that they have authority on the subject. But spoiler alert, they don't. So in the kind of reversal of academic convention, the subject of analysis and of scrutiny is physically present on stage, singing all these vocalizations. and the speakers are virtually present on screen. So this whole project, I'd say the first and foremost critique, because it is a critique, is to challenge the widespread colonialist attitudes towards other types of music, other types of vocal sound. Because hearing comments or observations, observing attitudes that dismiss or belittle non-Western new music or classical music and other types of vocal techniques, they're really not uncommon. So besides, not just in mainstream media, but even just as you train, as you move in the world of music. So I try to pick up on these manifestations and then critique them. So audience members can that are attending the show can also sometimes recognize themselves in the things that they're also laughing at. So it becomes this kind of weird dynamic of humor. So it's a bit, I mean, the optimal way of experiencing the piece is to see it, but for now I have a short trailer, so I'll just play a bit of that.
Les protagonistes dans ces mythes sont représentés par différents gestes et postures, et les membres de la communauté reconnaissent ces gestes symboliques et suivent ainsi le cours de l'histoire racontée.
Donc, l'homme cherche à sortir le démon qu'il aurait pu attirer, le démon intérieur, avec des grognements, des spasmes qui semblent provenir des profondeurs de l'âme.
Ce sont de grands artistes qui réussissent à toucher nos cœurs et à puiser leur inspiration dans notre musique globale collective.
On ressent très bien la soif, la célébration, le contraste entre le parcimonieux et le faste.
Il chante, il plane au-dessus de la masse texturale lyrique.
Yeah, I'll stop it here because time flies. Okay, so exploring these themes involves a certain amount of risk, because during the development of the piece, I tried to address different ethical concerns, and I wrote a paper which kind of goes on these themes of talking about the. Can you still hear me? Yeah. Okay, talking about the imagined worlds versus reality and how that can be useful. Then satire, how there can be still be critical undertones to using humor. The aspect of audience deception, offending, is this cultural appropriation? Is this a critique of anthropology as a science? And all these things that I wanted to make sure weren't misunderstood. And then this point about humor and laughter, which which is the one I'll actually talk about for a bit. So the thing with laughter is I love to explore it, but serious people need quotes to understand that humor is actually a thing and like engage with it. So luckily for me, there's lots of, I'm just leaving these there under your eyes, but it's clear by now that this piece really elicits laughter from the audience. And the question is, why does the audience laugh? Are they laughing with me or at me, with the speakers, or at them? Are they rooting for me as the representation of otherness? Or do they perceive this singing as so weird that it's inferior? Can they sense that when I sing, I try to be sincere and earnest, committed to these songs that that are part of my practice as an extended voice singer? So I care about them, but do people think that I'm laughing at what could be this music? So when I first started performing this piece, when I first started doing improvisation without this theatrical framing, so without this interactive kind of approach, it still evoked laughter, but this is sometimes due to the fact that the eccentric nature of the sounds makes people sometimes uncomfortable. So when you allow laughter, you kind of open the door, and then you can really get people to follow you. And this, in this second quote, they talk about defamiliarization and cultural assumptions, and that could very well apply to the way in which we're used to hearing the human voice within a very limited scope and in really prescribed ways, because all these sounds are in us, and we can all do them, children do them. So because of this framing, there's a really different relationship with laughter, and there's a sort of a different kind of path that one single audience member can shift the perception of going from a laughter of discomfort to a laughter of like, how ridiculous are these people talking about this music that I'm now kind of enjoying, I guess. So there's something interesting. I have more quotes. So this one, I really like. Apparently there have never been cultures without laughter, although the varieties and intensities of humor oh, that's not the one. But yeah. Okay, so the point of these, sorry, I got mixed up in my pages. But the point of these is that there's one part, and it was in the trailer, where there's the character is kind of, people assume it's kind of like a parody of Chinese opera. It's really not, and I try to do it in a way that it's just an art form of someone that sings and dances. And because many people know that in Asia there's these types of forms of dance with hand symbolism and all that, that's where the mind goes. And then in that part has people laugh a lot because of the type of voice. And I had the kind of an ethical battle within myself of, should I stop clowning this character in the piece because people might think that it's funny. And then I was like, well, maybe it is funny. Maybe this population does a form of the theater that is clown and that elicits laughter from the people that understand it. So this idea that there's never been many cultures without laughter got me to think that no, I should keep doing it and include the humor as part of this, because painting a portrait of otherness as this kind of stern, kind of suffering entity is as problematic, or it's problematic in different ways. So I have to stop here, but I'm very happy to discuss this with you later, because I think. All right, thank you.